What do you see? All right, we are live. Hello, guys. Welcome to Sunday Fandom. See, now I'm talking. He's like, no, actually, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here.
I've changed my mind. Abort.
I changed my mind. Hey, guys. So we're here for another Sunday Fandom news. We have a few stories today. It was actually pretty slow week on news. Except for the big headline that you guys saw about like what is this Korra and Avatar is going to be on Twitch. What is that? We'll get to that in a minute. But first, I'd like to introduce my guest today. We have Ready For with us, who you guys might know from the Fanalysis channel. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, as Antoine says, Ready For here. I host alongside Antoine and a few other people the Fanalysis channel that I cover. Pretty much
you know what? Everybody keeps asking me, can you please clarify what is going on with Fanalysis?
It's going up again very soon. We've been on a long hiatus from a very long list of reasons, basically. And yeah, we've got content going. It's just needs to be published and put up online, basically. So soon is the answer to that question.
And also, for you guys think that he's not on social media, he's on Twitter. So if you want to bug him, go on Twitter and add him.
I technically exist on Twitter. I don't think I've looked at my page in like 6 years when I first opened it up.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Do not look for me there. But yeah, I will answer comments on YouTube whenever they're posted and such. So yeah, keep an eye, watch his space. We will see some more content soon.
Oh yeah, no, that's another one too. Yeah, just comment on the YouTube channel. He usually looks at that much quicker than anything else. All right, so our first story here is Raya and the Last Dragon, I believe it's called. Yeah, the Last Dragon.
Yes, so Raya and the Last Dragon, I think, is the pronunciation from the trailer.
Raya is what.
Yeah, I think Raya is the one they were going
Raya.
for.
Oh yeah, I think it's Raya. I think it is Raya. Yeah. So yeah, that is basically a thing that Disney is doing. Is it Disney Studios that's doing it?
Yeah, Disney Studios, not Pixar.
Yeah, not Pixar, and also Pixar not DreamWorks.
With the last one.
I know everybody. I know everyone was like, "This is a DreamWorks project." What was crazy about it for me is like when that character, when Raya actually came up into like the screen first time, I was like having like a weird whiplash. Cause I was like, wait, Katara?
Yeah,
Korra?
Korra, mix, blend, Raya and the Last Dragon Prince Bender.
She literally just has to pull up her hair like this way, and then she has her hair loopies. And I was like, wait,
exactly.
What is?
Exactly. That being said, there are a few differences, and I can see, as you mentioned before, we were talking about it off screen at some point, that they're pulling from the similar kind of backgrounds as those other work. So they've got kind of a shared mythos or heritage, whatever, but from inspiration standpoint. But they're not actively like copying. But the vibe is strong. They're very much something that you look at and go, okay, yeah, I've seen this before. But from what I saw from the trailer, it looks like it's going to be a nice take on it.
Yeah, it looks fun.
It looks clean. It looks well designed in terms of like what they were showing for the I know obviously it was a short teaser, but what they were showing us was well chosen, and I like the framing and the music and the voice work, and yeah, it looked pretty cool. I'm excited to see it.
And Raya looks like very likable too. I like how I've been talking about this a lot lately about like I'm kind of over like kind of right now the gray character like anti-hero sort of stuff. So I'm always into that, yeah, like I'm really into like just people just being nice. Like she had that little roly-poly. I don't know what the heck that was. Was that a what do they call those things? The ones that roll. It's not roly-poly. Armadillo. Yeah, she had the armadillo, and she was like being like, "Oh, here, you can do it," or whatever. Like I don't know, like stuff like that. Like really gets me. Like nowadays.
Yeah, I liked the gentleness of it. Like it was very much like a familiar, like just gentle touch to it. I really like that in a character like that. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with her as a lead.
Yeah, that should be fun. I think those are like the one kind of movies that don't necessarily need to get pushed back because it's all like mostly studio based. You know, like technically someone could work from home if you send them, you know, the computers at home, you know, voice actors, and also just go in a booth. You know, so you look forward to that one. So the next one we have is the Final Fantasy 16 is looking like this is unprecedented for a Final Fantasy game. It might be coming out in 2021, and it was just announced 2 months ago.
No way. It'll be pushed back. They're never going to be that quick.
That's how it always is. It's always like, it always has one release date, and then it gets pushed back 1 or 2 times at least.
I'll believe it when we see it. Yeah, no hope until then. I've been way off the Final Fantasy bandwagon on this one. I'm a big fan of this franchise as a whole, and I know a lot about the previous games.
When's the last one you played, actually?
14, the online one.
The online one, which apparently has like a resurgence.
Yeah, it was absolutely terrible when it first came out, and they just basically redesigned the entire thing from scratch and rebooted it, and it was really good, and it's doing well still at this day. So
I saw people still playing it. Like it's crazy, like how the longevity.
I've shown you the initial trailer to that one, the launch trailer, and that was love that cinematic.
The cinematics are awesome for that.
But I fell off of 15. 15 I looked at and I played a bit of it with some friends, and I was like, yeah, this isn't really my thing. And you know, if you like it,
felt very empty.
Yeah, it just felt
15
very.
felt empty.
It lacked the. Not that all Final Fantasy has depth, but it lacked the kind of richness of universe and character that the others, or at least for me anyway, it felt like the others had.
The characters were there for me. I actually did like the dynamic of the boy band. Like I thought they actually were really good.
No, you're expecting. Yeah,
and it was everything else about it was just
Yeah, it wasn't like it was completely terrible or anything. It just didn't personally resonate with me. The character choices or the particular team they had just wasn't my kind of thing. Really.
Oh,
so it just
that's another thing I talked about last week with my guest last week. We were talking about what does it even mean to be a Final Fantasy game, because it looks like Final Fantasy 16 is going the way of like Devil May Cry, and there's no party system anymore. And to me, there's like, so to me,
that's like the one thing they all have,
right? Like the defining trait. And it seems like every year since maybe 9, or maybe like, no, I would say 10 was still traditional. I would say, even though it was 3D.
Absolutely,
I think they started going off on 12. I think 12 is when they started kind of diverging a little bit in terms of like
they made more and more
gameplay. It's becoming more action.
Yeah, it's always been very fluid what makes like a Final Fantasy game, mechanically speaking, a Final Fantasy game. But they're always like key beats for the different kind of eras that they released. And more importantly, anything else to me is just the type of story and like character dynamic team-wise you're playing with. No matter what world you're in, no matter what cast you're working with, no matter what goal they're working towards, there's always that same kind of team on an adventure kind of experience. So if they're going to take away the
like Dungeons and Dragons, it's like a motley crew that is like probably shouldn't be mixing together, but then you guys do.
Yeah, and you can play with that however you want, and however it manifests is fine. But ultimately, that's the kind of core foundation of every single one of the games. I mean, even the online games. So I don't know if they're going a bit more solo based. That doesn't do it.
That's like it seems like it's straying a little bit too far from it, because now the only thing that is overlapping are chocobos and ions or icons. I think they're calling this game the summons or whatever. Like those are the only two that are carrying over that makes you know this Final Fantasy game. Other than that, it's like, what? Am I playing Final Fantasy anymore? Oh, by the way, if anyone wants to know, the source for this story is that the official PlayStation magazine apparently had preview pages and it showed the Final Fantasy 16. And it was saying that it's coming out in 2021. So it's like, what? Like what? Square Enix hasn't made a comment yet, though.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. And again, but all things can change based on that early stuff. There may be a completely back to basics team dynamic thing all the way through, but I'd be disappointed if they didn't do that, because solo play is not what you want with a Final Fantasy game.
And that's all it had in. I mean, it seems like you might be playing as two different people, and it's supposed to be two sides of like the war, maybe, or maybe you're playing over a timeline of someone when they're young and then older. He's supposed to be like a Kingsguard kind of a thing, but it's like, but you need to have his team with him.
Yeah, is there any word on this being like an in-between game, or is this is definitely 16?
No, it's 16. Yeah, no, it's a solid.
Right, so yeah, because that would be the more type of thing you want to play around.
Yeah, that's true.
Mechanics on. They've done that before.
The side games, like they had that for Cerberus. The dude, the red cloak guy from Final Fantasy 7, I forget his name all the time. Vincent Valentine. They had a single player game for him where it's like a shoot 'em up game, but pretty bad. But it existed.
Yeah, well, it's an experiment, and as with any franchise, you can play whatever you want in a what if scenario or a side venture. But for the main,
but a main line,
you kind of want to keep your core elements there, otherwise you're going to lose people.
Yeah, but, it's weird. It's weird.
If they want to experiment.
So next up we have Tom Holland as Nathan Drake.
This was a weird one because you've seen the photos, and he looks it, but he's 10, 15 years too young. I mean, if this is a prequel, maybe, but to me, he'll probably pull the role off relatively well. I've seen him act; he's pretty good at it. But just in terms of casting for the age, the ruggedness, the general feel of who Nathan Drake is, he needs to be way aged up. It's a strange choice for me, unless they're again going for that younger story.
Well, when you said that before when we were off stream, that is actually part of Nathan Drake's storyline. I think in the 4th one, they had a flashback where they showed him being young when he was first starting out doing.
I've seen
stuff like that.
I've played the game through,
When he was, I think Sully is his mentor's name in that game.
Yeah.
Sully. I think it was like the first time he met Sully or whatever like that. So they could be going with that, and maybe they want to just age with Tom for like a few years or something like that. Until
but it'll be a strange choice.
And also, I don't know if he's gonna actually fill out because he's kind of done growing. He's an adult man, and that's the reason why he gets these young roles, because he's like gonna look young for like the next 10 years still.
He does seem to be the type, doesn't he, where he's gonna be forever young. Like that kind of boyish, lean charm. Yeah, I don't know if he's the right one personally, but if he acts the role, maybe it'll be one of those rare cases where you don't care about the age and it just kind of bleeds in. I don't know.
And they've had announcements of actors, like they had the captain from Firefly. I forget the gentleman's name. I think Fillion is his last name. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so they had him. I remember rumored to be, and I was like, oh yeah, he looks like he's got like
he's kind of prime candidate for it. Yeah, he's like the guy you'd think for it, wouldn't you? Really, but
and now they're going the young route. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Interested to see what this this trailer will look like with him.
Yeah, it's almost the physicality as well. I'm waiting to see what the movement's like when he's doing the whole classic running towards the camera thing with everything exploding behind him that is in every Uncharted game ever. That's the kind of thing I want to see. That kind of rugged, just oh god, how am I responding to this? I'm trying to see his facial expressions and the general attitude of Nathan Drake. So yeah,
it's like making a young Indiana Jones before they had young Indiana Jones. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like they had like some other actor play it and like, all right, Harrison Ford, now we'll have you in it later. Like they're doing it the other way around.
Yeah.
So our next one is John Boyega says so a few months back, there was an article that came out that John Boyega was very upset with how he was depicted in the sequel trilogy of Star Wars. Especially even some of the fandom was like, yeah, why would you like do all this promotion for him where he's like has lightsaber in the trailer? He's like the first person we see like, in the first trailer ever. And then he gets kind of like shafted. Like literally in that last movie, his one line was just screaming Rey. Literally, he said it, I think 4 or 5 times. Like, not even kidding. Like the same, like looking up in the sky and screaming, like it was pretty hard.
About that film so much.
It's almost a rule. Like this is actually me breaking my rule a little bit about talking about the film. I actually don't talk about those movies anymore because I don't want to give them any more attention. But he says that he would be okay with returning to Star Wars if his ACT storyline got put back in like a TV series. But logistically, I don't see how that really works because one, the idea that he was even talking about that was in Colin Trevorrow's original script, which apparently was called Duel of the Fates. That was going to be episode 9, by the way. It was going to be Duel of the Fates as a working title, which The Rise of Skywalker isn't all that much better either. But but to be fair, all of Star Wars movies titles are not fantastic.
Yeah, you can get away with the terrible titles. I mean, Lord knows we've done it before, but it's just taking something that is so intrinsically attached to another part of Star Wars.
And it's too meta too, because Duel of the Fates is not something that's in the world. It's a title of a musical piece in our world.
And a beloved one as well. Even the film that most people don't like that much, it's beloved. So don't mess around with it and put it somewhere else where you just know it's gonna fall flat, which is probably why they didn't in the end.
Right. And the way he described it is that the original storyline was that he was supposed to be like the head of like, this, section of a rebellion or whatever. And he was supposed to, go from like, cowardice traitor or whatever to like, rebellion leader, which kind of is what happened in The Rise of Skywalker when he met up with those other, what am I trying to say? They left the other stormtroopers that deserted. And then he led them on top of that Star Destroyer, which actually, now I think about, is really weird. They actually had horses. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, don't question anything in that film. Yeah, the entire thing falls that flat. Nothing in any of those makes sense. The first one, maybe, but.
So yeah, I'm wondering what he even wants. Like, what would a TV show show? Like, are you trying to show like a different storyline that we didn't see during like the in-between times? Like, it wouldn't work. Like, it's weird. I don't know what he's even asking for.
It's not going to happen. No one cares about any of the characters in those. Well, I say no one. Most people don't care about any of the characters in those films at this point. So I don't think they'll want to touch that at all in the future. At least I'd be very surprised if they did. And Finn is not exactly the most pivotal character of the group because of what they did with him. He just isn't someone they ever really did anything interesting with. He had some. You can see what they were originally going for, and I can completely understand why Boyega's annoyed at having not been able to explore it properly, because it's not exactly groundbreaking, but it's a pretty fun concept to work with. From
Stormtrooper to good guy. Yeah,
it's been done to death in the expanded universe, new and old, but it's not in the mainlines. Films. We haven't seen that story.
Well, even in the new canon, because after they did that, they did that with they did it with Iden Versio and Battlefront 2 campaign, and then I think there was another storyline that came out about that too. Lost Stars also. So when we were talking about this like years ago, when we were like, oh cool, maybe they can make the Legends better, and like no, it's just a different version of Legends now.
Some
and
of
not done better.
Most of it's worse.
Most of it is far worse. And we've detailed that in a few of our reviews. So next up, the big story that you guys probably are here for is like, what is this story about Airbender and Korra coming to Twitch? So what is happening? And I thought the reason I want to speak about this, because it's interesting to me, is that yes, it is coming to Twitch. It's not coming to Twitch in the US though, only in Latin America. So you're talking about like Central America, South America, probably mostly in Brazil, because I know Brazil has a big presence, or Twitch has a big presence in Brazil. So what is happening is that they're going to allow streamers to basically do watch parties, so that they'll have actually the episode without getting like copyright blocks or anything like that they'll have it playing with them, and like just like you would watch a gaming video on Twitch, you'll have like the creator with a little box or a green screen watching the episode along with you. And I thought this was really interesting because I'm seeing this happening with a lot of other companies as well, because the NFL just partnered with one of my favorite Twitch streamers. His name is Sancho West, where I was watching Monday Night Football with him, and then there was like predictions you can make, like there was polls, like who do you think is going to make the first down, who do you think is going to kick off after this play. I think this is actually a really cool idea. I hope that it does come to the US. And if you guys, whatever deals you're trying to do, Avatar, I would love it if I could like do a watch through on like YouTube streaming or something. I have a Twitch as well, but not as big as my YouTube. I'm all for this. And I think you were talking about earlier how like they're actually doing new media stuff now.
Yeah, they're trying to catch up a bit. I like it because it's consumer friendly. It's obviously not why they're doing it. They just want to get their hands back on the wheel before they completely lose a chance of controlling any kind of modern broadcasting. But I think it's something that people are going to enjoy doing. People enjoy watching. It's a way for them to kind of tap into the fact that people are always going to do this no matter what they do. So they may as well try and keep some control of it. I think it works for both sides basically, and depending on how well it's done, in terms of how their content's executed, it could be something that really opens up a lot of options for people. I think of all the people who want to just nerd out and talk about shows or experience shows as they come out with friends and stuff, but they don't have the friends to watch them with. They're just not in the area, or they're not interested in that particular program. Whatever. This is the kind of thing that you can do that with. So I like that it's becoming more officially accepted and something that they're trying to get on board with. A lot of the React videos will be able to benefit from this as well.
Yeah, that's true too. And then I was gonna say, it would have benefited really with Game of Thrones. I feel like because Game of Thrones was a huge event that you would like invite people to your living room to like watch together. So having this as well, like
it'll be
online
interesting to see how they do or whether they kind of do this with the new stuff, like for example the new episode of Game of Thrones, because they then take play a big risk with the responses. So if the people watching it are like, this is terrible, and everyone else just doesn't invest in it, they're not going to want that. So it's probably more than anything else going to be something that like Avatar has been around,
backlog that is good.
It's perpetually loved by everybody. There's no risk of that for them, I guess. But then you said with the sports games and stuff, so that's not going to be anything but live, is it? So
that's all live.
See how it comes.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like right now, like the World Series is about to continue in like an hour and 20 minutes. That'd be great if someone could watch it along with Twitch, and that'd be really cool.
Yeah. But if nothing else, it's interesting news. It's a change that's interesting to see. So we'll see how it goes.
And then the last story we have is Marvel's Blade, which was announced, I believe, in 2019 when Mahershala Ali was announced to be the new Blade and a new movie, is now actively looking for writers. Because now as we're starting... Once we're past, like I think this next flu season, I think people are going to start really getting back to work, like not normal, but like somewhat of a normal. So so things are starting to like kind of rev up with like production. That's why we're getting all these announcements for like production and stuff like that. One of them being Blade. So I'm actually interested to see how this works. The main thing about Marvel right now that's interesting to me, and it's all stemming from the Doctor Strange movie, is this idea of the multiverse, like actually coming into play in like the movie space.
They're trying to expand, as they're always going to. They're trying to expand as much as they possibly can to give themselves as wide array of options after Thanos, because they can't go up. They have to go
you can't.
Out.
Yeah, you have to go out. Yeah,
you can get to that point again, but you have to build a long way away, like 10 years from the future, and it has to be a different type of threat of the same scale, which there are only a limited amount of in Marvel or any cinematic or any universe really, any narrative universe. So they have to go wide and they have to expand what they're doing. So changing genres, changing. You and I have been talking about this for years in Marvel, how they're very much the same kind of tone. They need to play around and use this new phase time to kind of really,
which is what Blade does, because as we know, Blade was a rated R movie, from vampires.
Yeah, more Deadpools, more Blades, more stuff like that. I don't know, it's obviously a different studio, but that kind of stuff they need to play with. And really
I think Deadpool still is under 20th Century Fox, right? That's the only one they haven't lost. They lost X-Men. They still have Spider-Man, or Sony has Spider-Man, which is weird. Sony has Spider-Man. Fox has Deadpool, and then Marvel has everything else at this point. But then Disney bought Fox. Okay, this is weird. I can never keep up with like who's got what and the rules.
But whatever they do in universe, they need to do it quickly, because this next phase, and we've seen it with all the announcements from Doctor Strange with it being like horror. They need to start playing those genres and mixing up so they can keep things fresh, and play the same characters and new stories without it being like, oh, but this isn't as big a stakes as Thanos,
Right.
And it's not an issue. It really isn't a problem. Once now they've done an Infinity War, it's not like they've run out of stories. They just need to very quickly change the way they're thinking about it, which I think they're kind of doing now. So we'll just have to see what these next wave of films look like.
Hey, anyone in the chat, really quickly, if you have anything, question and answer about any of the topics we talked about today, Raya and the Last Dragon, Final Fantasy 16 releasing in 2021, Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, John Boyega returning to Star Wars, Airbender coming to Twitch, and Marvel's Blade. Go ahead and put it in the comments below, but make sure you do a Q&A first and then type it out. But yes, I actually want to follow up on what you said about, it being or it should be a rated R thing for Blade, so that you can show really that it's a difference. And then vampires also, the idea of that, I wonder if, because we've been on a lull, and every about 10 years vampires kind of come back into fashion, really, and it might be around that time where I think vampires are about to come back in fashion, and Blade could be like one of those new projects that do that.
Yeah, we're just about washing the aftertaste of Twilight out of our mouths now, so it's like we're ready for some, some real vampire action, which Blade,
which you haven't had in a while since like maybe Underworld, I would think, right?
I think so. It's never been anything I've been particularly interested in myself personally, but I know a lot of friends who are, and they're definitely keen for that kind of thing, and that this is welcome news to them because they're looking forward to it.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm not actually super. I mean, I've casually been into Blade, but I don't think I don't think I watched the third one. I think I watched the second one, but I didn't really watch the first one.
I think I've only seen the first personally.
I think it's the best one probably anyway. Because I remember the second one being okay, but not like not as good as the first one. Is Avatar confirmed to be on Twitch? Yes, in Latin America only. Is going to be on Twitch for streamers who are going to do watch parties for it, basically. Someone's asking who's Blade. I forget. Sometimes my demographic is extremely young, so they don't know certain things. Blade, he is a vampire hunter, basically. He's half vampire, half human. Because I think his mother was bit while she was pregnant with him. She birthed him, and he became like this cool. They call him a daywalker because he was basically a vampire who could walk in the daylight, and not be burned and stuff like that. And basically, he just goes around like just demon hunter, basically.
Yeah, it's very R-rated action schlock.
Yeah,
late 90s sort of situation. So yeah.
Extremely bloody. Like I remember that scene. I think it was like it was a shower scene or some weird like warehouse that had like tiles where like he's just like slicing everyone up and just blood everywhere. Oh, he had this cool sword. I remember his sword could like burn people on contact, which is actually similar to what Homeboy had on Castlevania. Oh my god, forgetting his name. Edward. What's his name? Edward. Oh my god, what's the guy's name from Castlevania?
It's gone from my mind.
Oh my goodness, the dude with the whip. Well, he had a whip, and basically the same thing happened. Like he would hit the vampires with it, and they would like explode into like fire or whatever. It was a very similar weapon type. Very cool. Yeah. What content would you want to see on Twitch for Avatar? Well, it's not anything like new content. It's basically just current episodes, and people are basically just doing watch parties for it. So it's nothing like new or anything like that.
But it may lead to something else if they realize the audience is there,
which would be kind of cool.
Enough people pump enough money. That franchise has so much potential. As long as
it has so much,
that has to be done properly though. It cannot be Disney, Star Wars level of exploration,
right? Or Marvel,
or Marvel, even Marvel, which has done it very well. It has to be very small step. Very Kyoshi novel does it best. That level of development.
We need more novels. I don't know why. Like they're so much easier to produce. Like it's just someone's imaginations in prose. You don't need to like have hire artists or hire like a studio to animate it. Give us more novels, please.
But they don't sell as well, which is why they're not doing that. I think. And you definitely make sure that the right creators running it, because if you get the wrong
true.
That franchise could pinwheel into a corner very quickly. They need to make sure they don't do that.
So this is another question we have. Who would you recast as Nathan Drake if you had the choice?
I mean, we said Nathan Fillion. He was always my first choice, even though he's probably a bit too old for this stage. I don't know. I don't think.
Yeah, this one he's too old.
Off the top of my head.
Some new actors. I actually don't really know too many actors nowadays. Like I don't really follow people like that.
That aren't obviously cast as someone else. Someone that would be too much for it. I don't know. New blood, I think. Get some new blood for it.
Yeah. Unknown. Yeah, just unknown.
Yeah, he's not a character that needs to be like, well, not that any character needs to, you need to know the person for it to be pulled off, but he's someone that you could really get a fresh face and it would make it their own without being, straying too far from the origins of the games. So,
yeah. I've only ever played the first game and I wasn't really into it, but I hear that the fourth one in particular is like really good.
Oh yeah,
so
there is some really good stuff. The character writing, or not character writing, the dialogue writing in those games.
They're always great. Naughty Dog is always super great. Even with Last of Us 2, which had like, I don't know, did you play Last of Us? Are you familiar with Last of Us at all?
The second one, yeah. I've done the first one.
Yeah, so the second one, like, I don't know if you heard how divisive it is because of like what happens in that.
Why was something I'm looking forward to checking in.
Okay, yeah, I loved it personally.
It was into why, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
And yeah, they're really good at just scenes. Like their scene work is really good, just between two people.
Absolutely, it's really underrated in just modern like works these days. The natural dialogue that doesn't even have to be talking about anything important. It just feels real.
Yeah, very authentic
and authentic. Just all of that stuff. It's so rare these days.
And their casting too, like the way that the actors perform the dialogue too, is a big part of it as well.
Yeah,
and because
with mocap and everything, you can do that in games,
right?
Now.
It's not just about speaking the dialogue or having really good dialogue that they're using, but even like the small stuff that they animate, like even if someone's like just a facial tick that they have or something like that, or a quirk, in their eye or something like that, or the way they move their hands in the scene, it's like that detail is just so great.
Absolutely, and the in-game cinematography as well, where they choose to focus, what they choose to show, at different points. That they've really upped their game. The industry as a whole, pretty much in areas like that. So I think films and TV shows need to catch up a bit for some of that focus.
Games. I think gaming, if I'm not mistaken, is the most profitable, lucrative industry right now. Or maybe because of the pandemic, that's the case. But I think even before that, it was approaching.
It'd be cool though. I mean, you get that kind of quality in shorts, like online shorts, but I've not really seen them outside of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, near as much as we should do anyway.
Why would Avatar not have the streams worldwide? Wouldn't it just mean more advertising? Oh, that's more of a question like general. But I would think that they're probably testing in Latin America because it's a smaller market. There's less risk to it.
Yeah.
And they're going to see how it works there. And then expand out. I think that's what's going on. We're going to take about 2 more questions. So I'm going to look for some good ones here. Oh,
you started from A, haven't you?
What'd you say?
You started Full Metal Alchemist, haven't you?
Oh yeah. I'm on episode 1. It was right after. Oh my god, what's the episode I just did? It was when when Scar comes on the scene, basically, and he has to fight with the boys. Oh my god, that Alphonse dialogue when he was like, "What are you doing? You should have went away. Like, if someone's gonna like succeed, it's got to be you." Like, oh god, Alphonse,
so good. Full Metal Alchemist is one of the best. Easily.
Hurts my heart out. So someone asked here, would you be interested in Blade if it was PG-13?
No. To be honest, I've never been that interested in Blade full stop, but I feel like you're cutting out a big core of what it is and what it's supposed to be if you take out the R rating. It just some of the schlock it plays with relies on gore and shock value and all that stuff. So if you take that out, what's it going to be able to do? It's really not going to be able to surprise you or play with pretty much anything that it did in the original films. So yeah.
So yeah, no, I totally agree. Like I mean, it's possible to do it as PG-13, like it really is, but I think that really takes the teeth away from
it. Why would you choose to do that? Why would you shy away from it when you're clearly doing that film to reach a different kind of or scratch a different itch for people?
Right, exactly.
It's something I want them to dive into properly, to explore different genres, explore different tones, just go wild with the franchise you've got. These characters are not just action hero props that you can use them for any story, as the comics do. So
you just look at the comics. They've been doing it for years. Any favorite stories from today? Anything that you're most interested in? I'll probably say Raya for me, or Raya. So I keep saying Raya.
I just love the way they say it in the trailer. It sounds so cool. The intonation, it was very nice. But yeah, that's probably the thing I'm most excited about. Looking forward to see what they do with that. I mean, Disney's been kind of knocking out the park lately. Frozen 2 aside. So yeah, it's something I'm looking forward to. I always like to see what they bring up next.
I'm trying to think, what was the last Disney movie that I like? What was the previous one they did before Frozen 2?
Moana was before Frozen 2, I believe.
So they actually haven't been doing like a lot. Like it hasn't been like an annual thing for their animated
stuff.
Yeah,
they're taking the time with it. Same as Pixar. They kind of
maybe it's like Pixar Disney. Is that what they've been doing? Like
I think so. Last one was Onward from Pixar.
I think Pixar has still been annual, if I'm not mistaken. Because there was Onward, which was really good. That surprised me how much I enjoyed that one. I
haven't watched that one yet. That's
I think you in particular really enjoy it too. It's very D&D based. But yeah, that is it for this week of Sunday Fandom News. Oh, perfect. Right on the 30-minute mark. Look at that. Again, guys, go ahead and check out Ready For. His channel is Fanalysis. It is the podcast where we talk about, what am I talking about? You go ahead and introduce or outro yourself.
We both do it. Just Fanalysis, we talk about all things that we like, fans analyze. So Avatar, Star Wars, we've done Marvel, but Disney. We're not really stuck into any pigeonhole. It's just a case of what we fancy covering at any given time we'll cover. So more of those will be coming soon. Both Avatar and Harry Potter in particular will be rolling out shortly. So look out for that.
Awesome. And then, of course, I'm Antoine. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, love, may the force be with you. Mischief managed. One is all is one. This is my favorite YouTube channel on the Citadel. And Mischief managed. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Oops. I hit the